Hey guys, I'm sure that this video came as a surprise, but there is something that I must tell you personally that I don't think any newsletters can convey. This video might make a lot of you worry, but I really thought hard about it and I need your support more than ever. To start off, I just want to say that I'm currently in the process of deciding to pull back from Power to Change and my internship. It's been tough, and excuse me if you see me reading a script. I just don't want to be emotionally sidetracked, so I needed something to follow. But to help you better understand my current situation, I need to tell you about my history with Power to Change, or P2C for short. What you're about to hear may not sound pretty, but I wish to be as honest with my feelings as much as possible, so I hope you can understand. When I first got involved with P2C, it was during the end of my second year, a time when I was going through relationship troubles. It was my second exposure to a Christian community, and well, with my first being my Christian high school. And like the first, I had a hard time fitting in. I remember trying so hard to fit into P2C by going to Summit, weeklies, GGs, WinterCon, and even outreaches. I went out of my comfort zone and did random evangelism on campus just so that I could appear more Christian and make more Christian friends. While random evangelism did open up my world to mission and taught me valuable lessons, it was also a means for me to try and connect with people. But for the most part, I failed. I didn't feel called, nor was I comfortable with random evangelism, yet I felt forced to do it because I wanted a community so bad at the time. That really left a bad taste in my mouth because I didn't understand why I had to do all these things just to make friends, and I didn't see the results that I wanted based on my efforts. So for a long time, I transferred a lot of anger and resentment towards P2C, saying how people were just different from me, and I don't know, that they were closed-minded. The resentment followed through for the rest of the third year, and but I still pushed on and felt like I should stay because I needed some sort of Christian influence. The tables started to turn when I first applied to East Asia Project and got accepted. Project was one of the best experiences, lessons, and highlights of my university career. Through Project, I really felt connected to the people on my team, and for the first time ever, I actually enjoyed evangelism, the relational kind. It was definitely a life-changing experience, and it was also a time when I was first introduced to family life. During debrief, I told the staff member that even though I loved what I did on campus, I couldn't ignore this passion in my heart for marriages and families. She told me that P2C actually had a ministry for family, and she encouraged me to check it out. I did, but I shot it down because, at the time I had this crazy thought that if I were to counsel non-Christians, I needed some sort of non-Christian education and work experience. And also because I still had a lot of resentment towards P2C back at home. So I just didn't give another thought about that. Around the fall of fourth year, the P2C Human Resource team came around to recruit students to intern for the organization. Family life was mentioned to me once again, and like the first time, I rejected the offer because of all the reasons that I just told you, but also because the position at the time was an administrative one, and I didn't want to move across the country just to do administration. So I thought that was the end of family life for me, but HR contacted me again and told me that they talked with the director and they were willing to design an internship around my goals. So aside from doing administration, they were willing to allow me to participate in marital conferences and to essentially just help out with whatever there is to do that had to do with marriages. And at the time when I received this email, I had just decided to take a year off from school and to just work. So with the timing of everything, I couldn't help but think that maybe this was something God-given. And because, first, there was this internship that was specifically designed for me, and I don't know, it just sounded special and exclusive. And second, I needed something to do after graduation. And third, it was the closest thing that I had on the table to marriage counseling. And so I accepted. So I'm sure that if you have been keeping up with my letters, you would know that after accepting this position, I had a hard time preparing myself for the transition. I didn't want to leave Toronto or my status as a student. And for the final reasons that I'm telling you now, I had a resentment towards P2C. But 4 reasons kept me going. The first one was the cost of discipleship. So I learned that following Jesus is not always going to be easy, and if we're truly serious about him, then we should be willing to sacrifice our desires to follow him. The second was the commandment to love your neighbors, and just like how Jesus gave me endless grace, I must give grace to P2C as well. The third was it was a plan. Ever since I was small, I was taught to always have a plan and to set goals for myself. This internship gave me something to do after graduation, and it was a plan. The fourth was reconciliation. So during orientation, I learned the bigger vision of P2C, where their mission is not just about helping, changing the world by helping students discover Jesus, but it was about creating movements in different areas of the society. I really resonated with this vision because during my time at P2C Student Ministry, I was under the mindset that if I didn't become a full-time missionary or if I don't evangelize, I was a bad Christian. And since campus ministry was all that I know about P2C, I associated the two and came up with the idea that, P2C only accepted Christians who evangelized on campus and discourages those who work in the secular world or have other careers that does not involve evangelizing 24/7. So when I learned that P2C as an organization was accepting of creating movements in areas other than campus ministry, I felt that God was helping me reconcile with my past and reassuring me that working at P2C headquarters was different from student ministry. So I don't know about you, but as I reflect back on these reasons why I pushed myself with the internship, I cringe a bit because, the cost of discipleship, the extending of grace, having a plan, and being reconciled are all great things, but they can be manipulated when the motivations are not right, and that's what I did. Anyways, on Friday, the June 7th, I sat down with my pastor to tell him about my internship so that I could get some funding from the church. After hearing all that I had to say, he told me that he didn't feel like this internship could nurture me to become a marriage counselor. What I needed was to use the support money to take counseling courses and get exposed to real counseling, not planning conferences or expanding the family life department. What he said was logical, but at this point, I had invested so much into this internship and on support raising that I had to defend it somehow. So along the conversation, I mentioned how I felt like I should take this internship to keep an open mind, and in case God does not want me to become a counselor. And at that point, my pastor paused the conversation and looked at me with a puzzled expression, asking me, why would I even doubt myself if I already felt so strongly about this career choice? Without really filtering what went out of my mouth, I told him that, I'm a human being, I sin, I can never know what's right or what's best for me. My judgments have been proven wrong so many times that, I don't even trust myself anymore. And, I have to keep my heart open and to do the things I don't want to do so that, God can prove me wrong once again and to lead me where he wants me to be. And at this point, I was pretty shocked at my own words because I didn't even realize my own feelings. I don't think I even knew what I was saying. And, my pastor, he was kind enough to put everything into perspectives for me. And he looked at me hard in the eye, but with understanding, and said, Demi, I think you have a lot of self-hatred in yourself. And after hearing that, I was just literally like, what the heck? Where did that come from? He went on further by explaining that, by what he knows about me and from what he has seen through social media, it seems like I'm always trying to put up a front to cover my insecurities and a hurt in my heart. And maybe becoming a counselor was my way of trying to fix the things that I could never fix in my life. He told me that I need to heal and I should stay in Toronto where I have a solid community, and I should seriously consider taking up his offer. It wasn't until later did I understand what he was trying to say, but at that moment I cried and felt a wave of anger and shame. If what he said was true, how was I supposed to face my supporters? I was so ready to leave Toronto and everything behind. What will they think of me if I just suddenly told them that I failed to discern correctly and, took up an internship that I wasn't supposed to? How can they trust me again? Will they think I'm greedy just because, I don't know, I decided to just ditch everything and take up another, a more appealing opportunity for my future career? Will my faith be looked down upon because I won't be sacrificing as much as I should? My pastor challenged me to pray about this internship and to take the time to really seek God for the next 3 days. So I did. Friday was a really bad day. I wasn't even upset about the fact that my pastor said the internship wasn't for me, because honestly, like I mentioned, I had a lot of resentment towards P2C. So to say that I was really into this internship would be a lie. So what bothered me was actually the supporters that I gained and the self-hatred that I seemed to have. If there's anything that I am 100% sure about, it's the fact that I've been called to support Raise. I said this in my Joy newsletter, that this opportunity to support Raise has been such a blessing. It not only allowed me to be friends with the people at P2C who I used to judge by the cover for such a long time, but it also has helped me to realize that I really do love sharing my story and my heart for families. Yeah, and the self-hatred thing, it really caught me by surprise. I always thought I was confident and indifferent towards other people's opinions, but I remembered my past newsletters, how I mentioned that I realized there's this need to be perfect when it came to my character. I don't really care much for academics, but when it comes to my personality and my character, I really hate showing my weaknesses, and which is probably why I act tough and blunt all the time. But recently, I had a friend who was in similar shoes as me, where due to certain circumstances, there was a high chance that she had to move back home. But she didn't want to, because she didn't want to deal with the toxic environment and the past hurt that she experienced over there. And so I remembered, as she told me all of this, in my head, I judged her so much. And I thought that, she was being so narrow-minded, that if she really loved God, she would be willing to keep her heart open to wherever God takes her, even if it's a place that she does not want to go. And, because after all, God knows what's best for her and not herself. I was so sure that God was going to send her back until one day she called me and told me something amazing happened and she doesn't have to move back anymore. I was kind of confused when she told me the news, and remember thinking to God, why are you even letting her stay in Toronto when she wasn't willing to keep her heart open for you? Yeah, so that Friday night, after consulting with a couple of people, one of my friends brought to my attention that a lot of times Christians focus on sin so much that they forget to remember that God is a loving God. Just like how heaven is a free gift, sometimes we are offered with gifts that are too good to be true, like this internship. And we often think that, or we're often afraid to receive these kind of gifts because we feel like we're not in a state where we are worthy to receive it. Almost as if to say we can reach a state where we can be worthy. So I think self-hatred comes in many different forms. And looking back at my past, I know that there are a lot of things that I hate about myself. I think I judge my friend a lot because I saw myself in her. I felt like I just couldn't ask God to let me stay in a place that I love because I felt so unworthy. Therefore, to atone for my sins, I need to sacrifice myself and be vulnerable. I saw God as a judge rather than a father, and I forgot that what he cares about is not what I do, but my relationship with him. He genuinely wants me to be well, not just spiritually, but emotionally as well. because I am his daughter. And God is good. He's a good God that often showers us with gifts that we do not deserve. And to think that we can ever be deserving of his gifts is just pride. To think that I can even atone for my sins, that is pride in itself as well. So since Friday, I have created a list of signs and answered prayers that I received. And so far, all of them are currently pointing me towards staying in Toronto. I will share with you 2 signs that spoke to me. So I have this devotional book called My Utmost for His Highest by Oswald Chambers. I have it right here. It's a really good book. So every day there is a specific lesson that it teaches, and I stopped reading it for a while, but on June 7th, when I was confused by my pastor's words, I looked towards it to see if I could gain some wisdom. And the lesson for the day was on prayer, saying how we should learn how to pray for direction, because that is the greatest source of power. On June 8th, the lesson was about sacrifice, and on it states, "It is better to fulfill the purpose of God in life by discerning His will than it is to perform great acts of self-sacrifice." Like, seriously, mind-blowing. On June 9th, it was about the verse, "Asking you shall receive." In it, it said, "There is nothing more difficult than asking. We will have yearnings and desires for certain things and even suffer as a result of their going unfulfilled. But not until we are at a limit of desperation will we ask." It goes on, but due to time restraints, I'll stop there. Another friend told me to go to scripture when I'm lost. I asked her to recommend me the first book that came into her head, and she said Ecclesiastes. And so I read, and in Ecclesiastes 3, it talked about a time for everything. It said, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under heaven. A time to be born, and a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to uproot. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to tear down, and a time to build. A time to weep, and a time to laugh." God is, that just spoke to me so much, and God is really so good to me. If you want to see the other signs that He has shown me, I will be more than happy to send you the Excel file. But I believe rather than having me choose between internships, God has called me to a time of healing and has given me the freedom to choose. Right now, I am leaning more towards staying in Toronto because my pastor is right in some sense that I need a solid community to heal, and that is what I have here. I've also talked with the director of Family Life, and he couldn't have been more supportive. He agreed with me that, rather than trying to figure out the place that is best for me to grow professionally, the question I need to focus on is which environment will help me to heal the most. He said that there are a couple of members of in Family Life that works in Ontario, and he might be able to set something up with them, as well as allow me to take some counseling courses, should I ever intern with them. I think by now it doesn't really matter where I choose to intern, because there is no right or wrong path. Both are good. At the end of the day, God will bring me where He wants me to be. There are 2 things that I am 100% sure about, though. The first is God has shown me that it is okay to tell Him what I want and what I don't want. And the things that I want are, I want to stay in Toronto, I want to become a marriage counselor, and I want to heal. And second is, I am still going to support Raise because I know that is what I've been called to do. I just don't know what I'm support raising for, so I am sorry. The only thing that is still up in the air is, which internship to choose from. I'm waiting for my pastor to send me a rough outline tomorrow on what an internship would look like with the church, and I'm still waiting for my director as well to contact me about opportunities in Ontario. So I will update you more when I receive more information. And for those that have already donated, thank you, and I will be contacting you personally soon. For those that haven't but are planning to, please hold on to your support right now until I get things sorted out. Should I ever opt out of this internship and you have decided to stop supporting me, I completely understand. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart that I really thank you for being with me for this far. I felt your love, and more than you know, it has helped me with this period of transition. I also want to mention that P2C is a great organization, and without it, I would not be where I am today spiritually. I owe my growth a lot to the campus ministry. And also, just by talking to the director at Family Life Alone, I feel like should I ever intern there, I will actually enjoy it quite a bit. But anywho, he left me with this advice before we signed off. He told me that God at times wants to train us to exercise discernment, but at other times, God simply just lets us pick from two options that are both equally good. You think if he wants you to choose one and not the other, shouldn't he have already told you by now? That just, I really liked what he said, and you know, I really do believe in the freedom of choice. So I ask for you to be praying for me on what my next steps should be. And I know I left a lot of things unsaid, but if you have any questions, I really want to answer them, so don't hesitate to contact me. As for my well-being, I'm doing very well. I am not too worried if I need to start from square one again with nothing, because, you know, while my circumstances have changed, Jesus hasn't. He is still the same, and so are his promises, and I have hope in that. So thank you once again, and I will update you soon.